Good morning, everyone. Today I'll be taking a class on psoriasis. Many of you might have seen a case of psoriasis during your clinical postings. It is one of the important topics for two reasons. First, it is one of the common dermatological condition, and second, as an exam point of view, it can be asked as a short essay or it can be kept as a short case in medicine practical exams. Okay, so let's go through it. To define, psoriasis is a common, chronic, disfiguring, inflammatory, and proliferative condition of skin in which both genetic and environmental influences have a critical role. So here each word is important. First it is one of the common condition, as I already told you. It's one of the chronic conditions because it can present for years together. It is one of the disfiguring conditions. I will show you the pictures. You can make out how disfiguring it can be. It is an inflammatory skin condition and a proliferative condition. So because there will be a lot of proliferation which is taking place in the keratinocytes, and it has got both genetic and environmental influences. Coming to the etiology, as I already told you, there are a lot of genetic and environmental factors which can trigger psoriasis. Genetically, it is associated with HLA B13, B17 and BW16. There are several trigger and modifying factors, like for example Koebner's phenomenon. So what is Koebner's phenomenon? It is nothing but appearance of new lesions along the line of trauma. For example, if a patient of psoriasis has undergone surgery, the new lesions of psoriasis can appear over the surgical scar, or if the patient has scratched vigorously along the lines of the scratch marks, new lesions of psoriasis can appear. Okay, this is called Koebner's phenomenon. Administration of interferons or other inflammatory stimuli can also aggravate the lesions of psoriasis. One more important thing is rapid withdrawal of immunosuppressive drugs. Okay, one of the most common immunosuppressive drug which we use is steroids. If the patient is taking steroids for a long time and if he stops suddenly, the lesions will flare up. So this is the reason why we avoid giving systemic steroids for a patient of psoriasis. If he stops, the lesions will flare up. Okay. So one more important thing is systemic infection with streptococci and other bacteria. This is especially in case of children with guttate psoriasis. It has got a very strong association with streptococcal infection. Other things are seasonal variation. It means in winter, usually the lesions of psoriasis will aggravate and they will reduce in summer. Pregnancy, sometimes lesions may flare up. Emotional stress, of course, it will cause increase in the lesions of psoriasis. And infections, drugs like lithium, antimalarials, beta blockers and NSAIDs, these worsen psoriasis. So it is very important, especially when the patient has been put on a beta blocker as an antihypertensive. It is better to change to some other group of antihypertensives. Even NSAIDs also. Usually paracetamol and ibuprofen are safer. We usually avoid other anti-inflammatory drugs. Okay, sunlight usually help in healing the lesions of psoriasis. That's how our phototherapy works in case of psoriatic lesions. And alcohol, other modifying factors like alcohol, obesity and HIV infection can also play a role. Okay, so coming to the pathogenesis. So what exactly happens in psoriasis is there will be an increased epidermal turnover rate. What is epidermal turnover rate? It is from the basal layer it will become the stratum corneum. Okay, so that's how epidermal turnover occurs. Usually it takes 28 days, but it will takes just 4 days here. So coming to the clinical features of psoriasis. So here I'll be speaking about one of the common types of psoriasis, that is chronic plaque psoriasis or psoriasis vulgaris. So that's how it will present. Here the lesions will be chronic, symmetrical, erythematous. Erythematous in the sense it will have a typical salmon pink or red color with well defined dry red scaly papules and plaques. Okay, once again the lesions will be chronic, Symmetrical means it can it involve both the sides simultaneously, not like unilateral. And erythematous, it will be reddish, and especially it has got a salmon pink color, but it will be difficult in case of Indian skin color, but in western countries usually you can appreciate it. And well defined, the lesions will be very well defined, you can easily make out the borders. There will be dry and red lesions. Scaly papules and plaques, the scaling is very one of the important finding in lesions of psoriasis. Okay, it can present as papules or plaques. Okay, these are well demarcated lesions, and typically they are present over the extensor aspect of limbs and trunk. Okay, so it's very important again. Lesions are typically present over the extensor aspect of limbs and trunk most commonly. Okay, coming to the scales, I already told you scales are one of the important finding of psoriasis. So how the scales of psoriasis present? They will be abundant, means there will be lot of scales, and they are dry and silvery white in color, and they are loosely adherent. Loosely adherent in the sense when we scrape the lesion, the scales will easily come off. Okay, the scales of psoriasis are abundant, dry, silvery white, and loosely adherent. So this is how the lesion of psoriasis is present. So it is a scaly block. You can easily find out the borders, that is, it is well demarcated, and even you can make out that salmon pink or erythematous borders. Okay. So this is an Indian skin type. It's difficult to appreciate the salmon pink color. So, but you can easily make out it is a scaly block which is present over the extensor aspect. Is the lesion where it presents, it's also very important. It usually present over the extensor aspects like elbows and knees. Okay. And here again you can make out lot of plaques. Okay, lot of psoriatic plaques which are present over the back, again extensor aspect of the trunk. Okay. So this is what is Koebner's phenomenon I told you. Okay, here the patient has scratched in the first two lesions. The new lesions have appeared along the scratch mark, and in the third, here the patient has got a tattoo, and along the lines of the tattoo the new lesions have appeared. Okay. So now I will be telling you about something called Auspitz sign, which is clinically diagnostic. So we'll do something called Grattage test to show the Auspitz sign. So what is this Grattage test? Here we'll take a glass slide and we'll scrape the lesion of psoriasis which is present over a bony prominence. Once we start scraping the lesion, the scales, already told you there will be dry, abundant, silvery white scales. So those scales will starts dropping. So they will drop like a candle wax. When you scrape the candle, how the wax will drop, similarly there will be a drop, these scales will drop. So that's why it is called candle wax droppings. So once you remove all the scales, you are going to see a thin translucent membrane. So that membrane is called Buckley's membrane. So once you remove that Buckley's membrane also, you are going to see thin punctate, small punctate bleeding points. So this is called Auspitz sign. Okay. So this is how it will present. So lot of silvery white scales have been removed and thin Buckley's membrane, and beneath that you are going to see multiple small punctate bleeding points. So I'll be posting a video also later on how to demonstrate Auspitz sign. So it is one of the clinically diagnostic criteria to identify the case of psoriasis. Okay. So coming to the clinical types, all these cases I have shown you, they belong to chronic plaque type of psoriasis or psoriasis vulgaris. So that's the first type, that is chronic plaque psoriasis or psoriasis vulgaris. The term vulgaris means most common. Okay. So the chronic plaque psoriasis is one of the most common type of psoriasis. That's why it is called psoriasis vulgaris. So, apart from chronic plaque psoriasis, there are several other types of psoriasis. For example, guttate psoriasis, pustular psoriasis, psoriatic erythroderma, inverse psoriasis, elephantine psoriasis, rheumatoid psoriasis, and nail psoriasis. Okay, this is a picture of extensive chronic plaque psoriasis. Okay, you can make out lot of scaly plaques which are present, mainly occupying the extensor surfaces of the body. Okay, so this variant is called elephantine psoriasis, where there will be large plaques with gross hyperkeratosis. So this is pustular psoriasis. You can make out small pustules which are present over the palms. Again, it is pustular psoriasis. Pustular psoriasis is nothing but lot of pustules which will be present over the body. You are not going to see any plaques here. There will be lot of pustules which are present here. There are pustules which are coalesced to form lakes of pus. Okay. So again, one more case of pustular psoriasis. You are going to see small pustules. Okay. Next one is guttate psoriasis. Okay, the word guttate means raindrop like. So whenever the rain drops fall on the body, it will be like a shower of raindrops. So it appears just like that. So that's why the name guttate psoriasis. You can make out there are small droplet like lesions which are present all over the trunk. It's more common in case of children. Okay, children and young adults more commonly affected. Okay, and this is a condition here. Extensive chronic plaque psoriasis is going into an erythrodermic form. Okay, erythrodermic psoriasis is one of the type of psoriasis. So the term erythroderma means involvement of more than 90% of body surface area with erythema and scaling. You are not going to see any plaques or papules or anything. The entire body will be filled with redness and scales. So here you can make out in the upper part of the body, still you can make out few plaques, whereas in the lower part in the picture we are not seeing any plaques there. The entire area is erythematous and scaly. Okay, so it is a condition where the chronic plaque psoriasis is going in for erythroderma, not entirely erythrodermic. It is evolving into an erythrodermic form. Okay, this picture you can make out erythroderma clear cut. So you are not going to see any plaques. The entire body is filled with erythema and scaling. So again, one more case of psoriasis, that is erythrodermic psoriasis here. Okay, erythrodermic psoriasis is one of the important condition. It is also a dermatological emergency. We have a few emergencies in dermatology. So one of the dermatological emergency is erythrodermic psoriasis. Other things like extensive pemphigus vulgaris, toxic epidermolysis, epidermolytic necrolysis, all those things. But why is it a dermatological emergency? Because more than 90% of the body surface area will be involved, and so most of the skin functions will be lost. Most importantly, that is a temperature regulation which is lost in case of erythroderma, and also the barrier function. So patient may succumb to hypothermia or even secondary infection. So this is a dermatological emergency. We need to admit the patient and give an ICU care. Okay. So one more thing is inverse psoriasis. I already told you, usually psoriatic lesions will present in the extensor surfaces, but there is a variant where the lesions will be present in the flexures. Here you can see the plaques of psoriasis which are present in the axilla, which is a flexural area. So but these things are rare, not as common. So one of the rare type of psoriasis, that is inverse psoriasis. Okay. So coming to the nail changes. Nail changes in psoriasis include pitting, subungual hyperkeratosis and onycholysis. These are the one important type of nail changes you are going to see. So most common type is pitting. Okay. So pitting, it will present like this. There will be small pits which are scattered over the nail plate. You can make out here. So this is the nail pitting. And subungual hyperkeratosis means just below the nail plate you can make out so much of thickening which is present. So this is subungual hyperkeratosis. And onycholysis. Okay, onycholysis is nothing but separation of the nail plate from the nail bed. Okay, here the nail plate is distal part of the nail plate is separated from the nail bed. So this is what is called onycholysis. Okay, again subungual hyperkeratosis. So coming to psoriatic arthritis, it is nothing but joint involvement in case of psoriatic patients. Most commonly the distal interphalangeal joints will be involved. Okay, so here you can make out distal interphalangeal joints will be involved in case of psoriasis. Okay, whereas in your rheumatoid arthritis, it is usually the metacarpophalangeal joints and the proximal interphalangeal joints which are involved, whereas in psoriasis it is the DIP joints which are involved. Okay, so coming to the histopathology of psoriasis, here you can make out it is when we take a biopsy of the psoriatic lesion and subject to histopathological examination, this is what you are going to see from above downwards. First is hyperkeratosis, that is thickening of the stratum corneum. So there will be increased thickening of the stratum corneum. And second is parakeratosis. So what is parakeratosis? So this entire top layer you can make out. This is okay, the entire upper portion, that whatever you see dark pink, okay, that is stratum corneum. So there will be increased thickening, hyperkeratosis. Parakeratosis means presence of nucleus in the stratum corneum. Usually stratum corneum is a dead skin layer where you are not going to see any nucleus. But in case of psoriasis, just because there will be a rapid turnover of the epidermis, the nucleus will be still persisting in the stratum corneum. So that is called parakeratosis. And you can see small Monro's microabscesses also in stratum corneum. There are so many downward projections you can make out. So they are called retar edges. They will be usually elongated in case of psoriasis. To understand this, you can compare it to a normal skin histology. Then you can easily understand these retar edges will be elongated. Okay, and there will be vasodilatation in the dermis. Okay, in between that elongated processes, whatever is there, that is also dermis, that is called papillary dermis. And also below also whatever you see, that's actually dermis. So you are going to see blood vessels which are dilated in dermis. Okay, this is how the histopathology of psoriasis presents. Actually difficult to explain here. It can be easily explained in regular classes. If you have any doubt, you can ask me later. Okay, once again, there will be hyperkeratosis and parakeratosis and Monro's abscesses in epidermis. There will be elongated retar edges, and in dermis there will be vasodilatation with perivascular lymphocytic infiltration. Okay. Again, one more high power view of histopathology of psoriasis. Okay, coming to the treatment of psoriasis. So how are you going to treat psoriasis? So treatment option will include topical and systemic therapy. So which are the patients who need topical therapy and which are the patients who need systemic therapy? So whenever the lesions, the skin lesions which are present less than 20% of body surface area, usually we will only go with topical treatment. Usually we will avoid giving systemic therapy, as systemic therapy has got a lot of side effects to it. Okay, but if at all it is more than 20% of body surface area, or if it is not controlling with just topical treatment, we can go along with systemic therapy. Along with systemic therapy, we also give topical treatment. So what are the topical treatment you are going to use in psoriasis? They include emollients, tar preparations, that is coal tar preparations, vitamin D3 analog like calcipotriol, diethranol, it's also called anthralin, topical steroids, keratolytic agents like salicylic acid, topical retinoids like tazarotene. So these are the topical treatment which we are going to use. Emollients, which include maybe liquid paraffin, white soft paraffin, or even sometimes coconut oil can also be used. Okay. So most commonly in our OPDs, we usually give emollients along with topical steroids and keratolytic agents. So coming to the systemic therapy, there are 5 important modalities of systemic therapy. First one is PUA therapy. PUA means psoralen with ultraviolet A. So ultraviolet A has got a wavelength of 320 to 400 nanometer. So the patient has to take a psoralen tablet, and then after 2 hours he'll be exposed to ultraviolet A rays. So we have got a phototherapy chamber. If you have seen in our department, or anytime you can come and see that how we give phototherapy for the patients of psoriasis. So one of the most important systemic treatment is methotrexate. So methotrexate, it's also a treatment of choice in psoriatic arthritis. And one more important systemic treatment is retinoids. Okay, so which is the retinoid which we are going to use in psoriasis? It is acitretin. Another important drug is cyclosporine. And lastly, we have biologicals. Like biologicals are nothing but what we have read as monoclonal antibodies like infliximab, adalimumab, and etanercept. Okay. So this is how it's a briefly what I told you about psoriasis. It's etiology, pathogenesis, clinical features, different types of psoriasis, and also how are we going to treat psoriasis. Okay. So I have an assignment for you. Write a short note on psoriasis involving its etiology, clinical features, clinical types, and also treatment part of psoriasis. I have also attached few MCQs which you can solve, and I have given answers also in case if you cannot answer them. Please go through them during your free time. Thank you.